Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about what is essential in your clothing. So let's jump right into it. Now, it's an obvious statement that clothing is essential and a necessity in most settings. So why would it then need to be something to actually discuss when it comes to planning for your budget? So much like food, the cost for keeping stocked and staying full can be justified based upon its so-called need. So it is typical for Americans to have far more than we need. We have closets and storage units full of excess. So if this is the case for you, how do you actually scale down to what is considered the essential items, essential wants and needs that you have? So maybe even more importantly, how do you prevent the purchase of something that you may not have even needed in the first place? Now, I would follow a 3-step approach on this specifically. And so this will prevent you from actually jumping in and purchasing things that you may not need. Now, step 1 is to scale down what it is you have. Go through those closets, go through those storage units, go through those areas that you oftentimes neglect because items get pushed in there and you forget about them. And when it's time to actually go through those items, oftentimes you forget what you actually have. Now, step number 2 is to budget essentials. Budget for those essentials that you have, those needs, those wants that you have related to your clothing, and actually going through the process of actually having a budget you stand by. So that when you are tempted to go out and make a purchase, that you actually have a plan to spend that you're operating by before you go make that purchase. Now, step 3 is to only buy what it is that actually is of value to you. If it's not something that you specifically want to wear, you specifically want to own, and if it's something that just pop culture or a friend or a neighbor or a family member is telling you to purchase, you probably should think twice and make sure it is something that's not just going to end up in a storage unit or in the back of a closet somewhere in your home. Now, when looking at scaling down, this may be a part of the process that's especially painful, being that you connect a certain type of clothing, maybe a certain item in particular, to something sentimental. Or you remember what you paid specifically for the item, from a retail standpoint originally. Or maybe you like the thought of having more as a means of options or valuing the excess from a standpoint of your status. Now, the closets in your home may be a great place to start by getting organized. Now, you may have heard of Marie Kondo, and I've mentioned her before. She has an approach of tidying up. Now, clothing is the first line of attack to downsize, to streamline, and to ensure that you only keep what you actually use and what actually brings value to you. So that may be a good approach in order to be able to separate everything that's in your closet based on something that you utilize, something that matters from a standpoint of it being sentimental and something you want to hold on to, or something that you just, from a utilitarian standpoint, use on a regular basis. Now, once you have actually pared down what it is that you own to what is actually being used, what actually adds value to you, and what has sentimental value, you will then want to take a look at your plan to spend, your budget. This is obviously something I bring up all the time, but it's important to be able to have a line item specific to your clothing, specific to allocating funds in order to not only replace the essential aspects from a need standpoint, but also from a want standpoint without feeling guilty about it. Now, setting a budget will ensure that you are not only limiting how much you buy and therefore forcing intentionality around not going backwards to having packed closets and having more stuff than you need, but also being able to just buy what you specifically value. Now, oftentimes we don't actually think through what it is that we value most in our homes, in our lives, and in our day-to-day rhythms. Now, this causes us to always be looking around for validation of what other people are doing. And this trap can and will cause you to own stuff you would probably not own otherwise, just to appease people who are not affected by your purchases in the first place. Now, with clothing in particular, it seems like there are people on both ends of the spectrum of this one. And when I meet with people, there are oftentimes people who are really focused on making sure that they have funds set aside for this, and others that are just kind of, lackadaisical about it. They're not real focused on it. And there are those who are super frugal, don't mind the hand-me-downs of the thrift shops. And then there are those who really struggle with a level of retail therapy, spending full price on the newest trends. Now, no matter where you fall on the spectrum, that's not the issue at hand. The issue at hand is that you are purposeful in only buying what you deem as essential within your budget. So living within your means, making sure to not spend above and beyond your means, and just making sure that you're buying with purpose. Now, my call to action today is to go through these 3 steps to clean out, budget, and buy only what matters most to you, what you value most. If this information is helpful to you, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're reminded to come back on a daily basis and improve in managing your personal finances. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.